this year marks 10 years of the Watercraft Journal. And what the premise of the Watercraft Journal was at first to really kind of put the band back together again, because Personal Watercraft Illustrated was the longest running print magazine since 1988. And unfortunately, it closed January 1st, 2010. And that was really hard for me. I was really bummed about that. And because, I was the editor at the time. And a lot of, I made really good friends there, and I really enjoyed what I was doing. And we really, really, we really kicked ass. So what really sparked my interest was a lot of people got screwed, and it wasn't just me and the guys who worked there when PWI closed. A lot of people who had bought subscriptions got screwed because they basically were told to pound sand. They weren't going to get their money back. A lot of freelancers got really screwed over. They never got the money they were owed, and for work that they had produced. And guys like Ronnie Mac wrote for me for 3 years straight. I got Ronnie Mac writing, which was kind of tough because, boy, that guy can't write. But he was writing articles and taking pictures for us and really getting some good content out. Vasilis, I'm going to butcher his last name, Moriadis, from Greece. He was an outstanding contributor for us. Patrick Mell wrote a bunch of stuff for us from the APBA. Had a lot of really, really great guys. And it was just a lot of fun working with some really awesome people. And by 2013, I had all the pieces set up to start a new publication. So in fall of, well, actually it was late fall, it was the World Finals of 2012. I went to finals with my former sales publisher, who was going to be our new publisher we had named it Watercraft Performance. And it was going to be a little bit more racy. It was going to be a little less mellow, like Watercraft Journal. I would say Watercraft Journal is a little bit more mellow. And we went to finals and we hit up everybody. And they were like, dude, you're putting PWI back together again, just different name. They're like, sign us up. I had HydroTurf, Jet Trim, Riva, Sea-Doo, Yamaha, Cowie. Everyone was on board. They're like, hot damn, dude, Kevin and these guys are bringing the magazine back. But it was going to be digital. And as soon as we launched, January 1st, 2013, everyone was on board. And we went from 100 people a day to 5,000 people to we were doing close to 20,000 people a month. And when PWI closed, we had about 18,500 subscribers. And we were inching up on beating that number. And that was awesome because it was like, okay, we're beating the old numbers. And around July of that year, the partners said, we're out. We want out. We don't like this. We're out. I'm like, we're literally making money, and businesses typically don't make a profit in their first year. And we were making a profit. Wasn't much, but we were squeaking by on a profit. Well, it turned out that the investors owed like 7 figures to the IRS. So anyways, yeah, that was really rough. And then the guy that I brought over from PWI wanted out, and he tried to squeeze me out. And I was like, well, here's the problem. I own the domain name and I'm the magazine. I'm the one doing all the work. I was producing video. I was producing articles. I was doing the interviews. It was me. I'm the magazine. And we had freelancers, don't get me wrong, but I was making the trains run on time. And so when they wanted out, I said, well, I'm going to start over again. And there's no non-compete that can hold an inch of water because I brought everything to the table. And so I just changed the name of Watercraft Performance and changed the layout, and we called it the Watercraft Journal, like the Wall Street Journal, the Watercraft Journal. That's why it's WCJ instead of WSJ. Wall Street Journal, Watercraft Journal. That was the whole idea. All right. So we started up. I still got old issues of PWI. That's funny. So anyways, Watercraft Journal just got rebranded in November of that year. And a lot of people were like, whoa, what's up? And thankfully, Sea-Doo and Yamaha and Cowie, those guys are like, we get it. It sucks. Don't worry about it. We're still on board. So that was good. And I had good relationships with these guys, and we just carried forward. And that was really the end of it. I think there was like a 4-week hiatus between the two of them. The magazine was always meant to be a team. It was always meant to be a handful of guys, small team, 3 or 4 writers, myself, web admin, sales, and administrative. So effectively 9 of us. And that was always kind of the meat and potatoes of the magazine. It was always meant to be a team, and it wasn't meant to be the Kevin Shaw show. That was never. In fact, I wanted to back up and just be sales because there's more money in sales. The problem is that the personal watercraft industry, the world of personal watercraft, does not have a lot of people who are really motivated. It doesn't have a lot of people who want to grind. It's too casual. So I was really struggling in building the Watercraft Journal and building that team and building that voice, because I was riding skis that were $16,000, sit downs. They weren't appealing to 25-year-old guys. Just wasn't happening. The guy, the 25-year-old guy is like, if I want to sit down, it's going to be an FZR, or it's going to be an old GP 1300R, or it's going to be an RXP. So that was, okay, cool. That's fun. That's exciting. But I also have to review the GTX 155. I also have to review the GTI 135 or 130. And I have to review I have to review the boring stuff too. So it was really tough. It became, listen, if we're going to review product and we're going to test product, it can't just be racy. Because now I got 45-year-old women going, hey, listen, I'm going to go buy a Yamaha, but I'm not interested in an SVHO. I want an HO. I want fuel mileage. I want storage. How dry is it? Is it comfortable? Can I plug my phone into something? Oh, okay. So we had to go where the meat was. You had to go where the people were. Does that make sense? All right. That's why Watercraft Journal rocketed ahead of other magazines, because other magazines were only talking to racers, or they were only talking to stand-ups, or they were only talking to whatever. And we tried to put up the largest tent that we could. Well, the largest tent that we could meant that we had to back off on a bunch of stuff. All right. Well, that was fine. And that got us a lot. That got us a lot of readership. I mean, it really did. And we were doing pretty good. By 2015, Watercraft sales were really ratcheting up. People started having a little bit more cash in their pocket. 2013 was slow. 14 was slow. 15 started getting exciting. 16 got really exciting. And once Trump was elected, people were like, I'm buying 2 jet skis. I'm hitting the water now. and it became, Trump water. People were like, let's go. And everyone started buying skis. All right. 2019 was one of the peak sales years in the last 20 years. It was the highest sales year in 20 years. And people go, really? I go, yeah, really. Oh, yeah, I bought a truck that year. Oh, yeah, I bought my house that year. Oh, yeah, I got the biggest pay raise I'd gotten at my company in the last 10 years. Was 2019. All right. So all that being said, was the magazine had to reach a broader audience. And we had a big team. We had a big group of guys. We had probably 11, 12 people writing for us. And on the flip side, we also started doing a lot of video production. And video production is a double-edged sword. Video production, very easy to get ad money. Very easy to get people to be like, hey, listen, I'll pay you if you wear these pair of sunglasses, or I'll pay you to wear these board shorts, or I'll pay you to wear this life vest, or I'll pay you to ride this jet ski, or whatever it is. So suddenly, a lot of money coming in. Okay, great. But unlike the magazine, you can't put 11 people on camera. You can't. Because the audience doesn't know who am I following? Who's the main character? Because we look at things cinemagraphically. And we're like, well, wait a minute. I don't know who to follow. So suddenly the YouTube channel became the Kevin Shaw Show. And I resented it. I didn't want the Watercraft Journal to be about me. It wasn't me. All right. I have a face for radio. Yeah, I just was like, I didn't really want the YouTube channel to be me. All right, because it puts me front and center. And so Kevin is the Watercraft Journal. And I was like, well, that's really unfair to everyone else who writes for the magazine. So that was kind of the evolution of how the magazine went one way and the YouTube channel went another way. And I thought, oh, well, maybe we can imbue more personality into the YouTube channel, or maybe I can be silly and snarky and make jokes and have it be light. And then I had people complaining. And I mean, not just complaining to me. They were actually trying to cancel the Watercraft Journal. They're reaching out to advertisers and saying, he's so mean and he's so condescending and they get upset and they would try to cancel me. And I'm like, dude, really? This is how soft you are? Was that we can't make jokes? Okay, cool. Fine. So that's why I told Cody that we're not doing any more comments in the comment section. I'm staying out of the comment section as well. And I tell people, if you have a serious tech question, you must email me. Now, the problem is that I still get more emails than I can answer and carve out time for. And so what I'm on the fence about is now having to put up a Patreon account and saying, listen, if you're serious about me spending a half an hour to give you a very well-written, detailed answer with hyperlinks and part numbers and all that kind of crap, I'll tell you what my hourly rate is, and you can pay half that. I'll give you half an hour of my time. But that's kind of how it goes, because I got other stuff to do. And I can't be a personal consultant and helping people buy whatever, or helping people pick what jet ski they want to buy. It's tough. It's really tough. I got other stuff to do. So, and I know I've talked about it. I talk about it too much because I'm still on the fence about it. I hate the idea. I hate the idea of it, but it's also one of those necessary things that it's like, ugh. So, and of course, no one likes to pay for anything online because all of us who grew up with the internet, we got it for free. So, again, double-edged sword. Hey guys, thanks for hanging out. This clip was taken from our weekly podcast that we record here every Sunday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you want to watch the whole video, you can go to the Watercraft Journal's YouTube channel, go to playlists, and then click on live sessions. You're going to see it there. Otherwise, go ahead and leave a like, a comment, and definitely subscribe to the channel. It helps us grow. And again, thanks again for watching our videos, and we hope to see you soon.